It's time for another Cyberpunk video, but not just any Cyberpunk video. A totally useless Cyberpunk video. This week I have 15 useless facts, hidden details, and Easter eggs that I can't exactly prove to be Easter eggs. So this video will have nothing of value and you will learn nothing. If you find this video entertaining, then make sure to click the glowing like button below the video. As part of the Phantom Liberty DLC, there is a side quest called Dazed and Confused, where a wannabe BD star named Lena Molina was allegedly abducted and is being held hostage in a BD store. Your job is to rescue her, but things take a twist when Lena is actually just a guy named Tool who got his brain scrambled. Now there is a total of 4 different ways this quest can play out, but the one that we want is the ending where you hire the real Lena to film a BD with Tool and have to get Lena to convince Tool that he is her long lost sister, which will send them both down a path where they make a successful BD line called Tool Lena. And as a result, Lena will end up giving you a motorcycle called the Lena Mobile. Now if you scan the bike, the data provided for the vehicle says that it's a 2069 model, and the drive says rear if you ask nicely. Gotta love CD Projekt Red and their sense of humor. There is a weapons vendor in Santo Domingo that has a very interesting interaction. The first time you visit the store, the vendor will actually flirt with you, and that's it. After that, she's just a regular weapons vendor.
Well, hello, gatinha.
Let's take a trip along the unfinished highway that goes from North Oak to Pacifica, that somehow magically got repopulated after the 2.0 update. But once you are above Haywood, you'll come across a scripted encounter of a massive shootout between the Tiger Claws and Trauma Team. Now most of the Trauma Team members have normal names, the key word being most. Some of the names that the developers decided to give these NPCs are pretty ridiculous. One of these Trauma Team members is named the Cheese Vendor. Obviously this is just a call sign given to a soldier, as Trauma Team is a paramilitary organization, but I do wonder how he received the Cheese Vendor as a call sign. Maybe he sells a variety of different cheeses on the side. If you wanted to run around the outside of the game boundaries, then today is your lucky day. Admit it. You've tried jumping the canyon out in the Badlands. Unfortunately, that jump is just not possible, at least not from this location. If you follow the canyon as far left as you possibly can, you will find a relatively small gap in between the canyon, and driving off the cliff at full speed along with the Stunt Jock perk, double jump cyberware, and a midair dash, you can safely land on the other side of the canyon. Now there's literally nothing of value over here, but you can run on seemingly endless sand, and climb up a giant crane. You also get to summon your vehicle wherever you are. They also decided to add a very long winding road that leads to nowhere. Maybe they can expand their Badlands out this way in the sequel. There's a side quest that I'm sure everyone has played called Riders on the Storm. I mean, if Panam calls, you answer. It's as simple as that. But this quest has you and Panam mount a rescue op to receive the Aldecaldo leader Saul Goodman from the Dirty Raffins. Right before you set off to actually rescue Saul, Panam will ask you if you are riding with her or going separately. If you ride with Panam, she'll tell you to drive so she can fiddle with her scope.
V, will you ride with me?
Yeah, of course I'm going with you.
Okay, you take the wheel.
Want me driving?
Yep, I need to fiddle with my scope a bit.
But if you go into first person mode, you can actually see Panam fiddling with her scope. That's actually a very interesting detail if you ask me, but I haven't really seen anyone talk about it, so I doubt anyone actually cares. The player character is named V, short for Vincent or Valerie, depending on your gender, because there is only 2. You are a high value merc, and a solo at that. You tear up Night City, take on every gang at full force, kill the leaders of Maelstrom, Tiger Claws, and the Voodoo Boys twice. You soloed an entire MaxTac squad. You even stormed Arasaka Tower either with an army you managed to build on your own or alone with your imaginary friend, and send them packing back to Japan. You're basically the new Morgan Blackhand. In fact, you are better than Morgan Blackhand because you didn't die in doing so. You also happen to be a total weeb. That's right, the highest value person in Night City watches anime. And that's not even a player choice. The game actually has V say that he or she watches anime. When you help Panam with her struggles with the clan, and help her hijack the Basilisk from the Militech convoy, right before you get a little freaky deaky in the tank, Panam will fire up the Basilisk and ask you what you think about it. And selecting the "not how I imagined" dialogue, V will say the following line.
Not exactly how I imagined a Corpo Panzer. I mean, at least since I stopped watching all those anime BDs.
One of the big things within the cyberpunk lore is that as of the year 2077, the Soviet Union still exists. Talk about a dystopian nightmare. Now, if you enter certain spaces such as Twitter and Reddit, or watch pseudo-intellectual brain rot videos on YouTube, you'll often see people claim that the Soviet Union's existence in cyberpunk is some political metaphor for how communism is sustainable and good, while capitalism will always result in collapse. While ignoring the complete irony of that statement, the reason for the Soviet Union's existence is actually a lot more simple than that, and actually kinda funny. The reason the Soviet Union still exists within the cyberpunk universe is because the Soviet Union didn't collapse until 1991, whereas the tabletop RPG was created in 1988. So the Soviet Union still existed when the original tabletop RPG was created. Okay, maybe this fact isn't so useless after all. There is a drug dealer on Jig Street located to the right after the entrance. She's actually voiced by Carolina Ravassa, who also voices Sombra from a certain video game called Overwatch, which just so happens to be another game that takes place in the year 2077. She's also credited as the Jig Street drug dealer rather than additional voices. They even made her look like Sombra too, or maybe they didn't. I honestly can't tell. I think I'm just a little bit racist. This could be an Easter egg, or maybe it's just a fun coincidence. We all know about that really terrible Japanese pon-pon song that's always playing on the Body Heat radio, but you probably didn't know what the song is actually saying. Well, the song is actually about doing the nasty all day, every day. Pon-pon is actually a Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of two things slapping together, which is often used in sexual context. They also use the word makura, which apparently means pillow, and is often used as slang for sleeping around. And the lyrics in the song that go yes no is a reference to the yes no pillows, which are a stupid way for people who have no communication skills to communicate to their partner whether or not they are in the mood for coitus. Other lyrics in the song, when translated to English, say, "Please pon-pon me every day, please pon-pon me," on repeat. In other news, Charter Hill does not exist. On the map, Charter Hill is labeled as the southernmost section of Westbrook, but this isn't actually Charter Hill. Charter Hill is, or at least was supposed to be, a completely different section of Westbrook. If you look at the official physical map of Night City that comes with the physical copy of Cyberpunk 2077, you can see that Charter Hill is actually supposed to be sort of like an extension of North Oak. In fact, this entire empty field and mountains is supposed to be Charter Hill, but instead we got a trailer park where a certain smelly cop squats with his sister. Maybe we'll get the real Charter Hill in the sequel. At this point, you have ridden the metro system at least once, but it serves no purpose other than roleplay. It does, however, come with a little detail that you probably didn't know. Let's say you were to head over to the metro station at Mega Building 7 located in Santo Domingo. You can do some very creative parkour. As long as you have air dash and double jump, you can make your way into the actual station. And if you look up on the catwalk, the two NPCs who are dancing will actually duck when the tram comes through. Well, it's actually less of a duck and more of an involuntary ragdoll, but the fact that this was even programmed in is so incredibly stupid and absolutely hilarious at the same time. While traveling through Night City, you'll very often hear random street buskers play the guitar, but occasionally you can find NPCs playing the handpan instead, which if you don't know is like a steel drum that you play by slapping it with your fingers. It really took me this long to actually find one, but the vibes are completely immaculate.
We have a saying, catch you on the trail. Salam alaikum.
One thing you probably noticed while playing through Cyberpunk is that the background on the main menu changes based on how far you've made it in the main story. When you finish the heist at Konpeki Plaza but don't do any of the ongoing main quest lines, the main menu will show a dead body in the landfill with the Night City skyline in the background. But the towers of light are actually programmed as clickable objects, as your cursor slows down once you hover over them. However, clicking them does absolutely nothing. The same thing applies to the afterlife arm in the landfill as well. I've tried this on a few other menu backgrounds, but from what I could gather, this is the only one that has anything like this. Now, we all know about Skippy, the talking AI smart gun that likes to sing Rihanna, but I don't think Skippy singing Disturbia was just a throwaway reference to make Skippy seem cute and quirky. I think CD Projekt Red chose that song for a specific reason. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the lyrics. What's wrong with me? Feels like I'm going insane. It can creep up inside you and consume you. A disease of the mind. It can control you. We're in the city of wonder, ain't going to play nice. Watch out, you might just go under. Your train of thought will be altered. I don't know about you, but the lyrics to Disturbia sounds awfully familiar and relatable to the main story of the game. I do think Disturbia was chosen for that very reason, but let me know what you think. Is that a well-formulated Easter egg that perfectly represents how Night City consumes the souls of those who live here? Or is it just a massive coincidence? The last useless fact for this video is, well, we all know that Cyberpunk has jiggle physics. Gotta love immersive boobies. But we also need to show some love for immersive crack. While creating a male character in the character creator, the circumcised crack has the immersive jiggle physics that we all know and love, whereas the uncircumcised crack does not. I cannot show you for community guidelines reasons, you'll just have to take my word for it, or open the game and check for yourself. Why am I staring at dude crack on the main menu? For research purposes, I promise. There you have it, that was 15 useless facts and hidden details in Cyberpunk 2077. If you want to see some more RPG related content, I have a long itinerary for Witcher 3 content planned for the future, so if you're a fan of The Witcher 3, or just RPG videos in general, then feel free to subscribe. And if you want to support me financially, you can check out memberships, which will get you a bunch of cool little goodies. But anyways, I'll see you later.